Hello, and welcome to PremiumBytes, where we shine a light on the unsung world of insurance technology leaders. I am Sudhar Krishnamachari, one of your co-hosts, and with Samir Ahmed, our other co-host, we're here to have meaningful conversations about the evolving technology landscape inside the insurance industry. Let's acknowledge it. Being an insurance firm CIO or Chief Information Officer is one of the toughest leadership roles in today's world. You've got a risk-averse mindset baked into the very fabric of the industry, a legacy estate that must complement the modern tech, and a talent crisis from both the retiring side and next-gen recruiting side. And then you got the slower pace of innovation. We see it because we're right there in the trenches with you as consultants day in and day out. Our mission is to deep dive, have conversations that carry substance, offer practical insights, and help you validate and navigate the relevant challenges of being an effective CIO in the insurance sector. So thank you for joining us on this adventure. Let's jump right into our next conversation.
Hey Samir,
Hey,
welcome back.
hey, Sudhar, welcome back. How's it going?
Good. It's a yet another episode. I'm really excited for the midsummer episode. We just wrapped up a couple of episodes in the last, I would say, a month in a back-to-back fashion, and I'm super excited. I think we're seeing a little bit more activity on our LinkedIn than we have had in the past. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to see some engagement, some comments. Last one was the news roundup. The one before that, episode 22, was a survey of quantum computing and state of the art and why insurance tech leaders you all should pay attention to it. And interesting, when we did that episode, you and I were talking about that. Well, okay, we covered it and partially felt incomplete because, you and I are not practitioners in that space. It was more just sharing our own education with the audience here. So it left something to be desired.
Jokingly, when it comes to quantum computer practitioners, there's probably like 10 people in the world that we can count in one.
Yeah,
So,
especially
you know,
intersecting with insurance, that's for sure.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
not to shortchange it. We do our news roundups as well, and just the other day, I saw this story about a outfit out of Cambridge, UK, bought out by Ion Q for north of $1 billion, right? Acquihire. If this were like an InsurTech, this would be big news, right? Last episode
This
we
would be,
talked about
yeah,
Next, which had I don't know, like a 2 billion or so acquisition from Munich Re.
correct.
So there is an activity happening, and that was a prompt to maybe it's not a dead end topic. Maybe there is something to this, and so.
No,
Um,
but even for Next, they had to work their behind off for 10, 12 years before they could get that evaluation. And then here, some of these people, I hope it's not snake oil with quantum computers, but we will unpack that. So I'll let you introduce. I think we haven't had a guest in a while, Samir. So I'm super excited today that we have an interesting guest to introduce to our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Our guest today is a powerhouse at the intersection of quantum computing, data analytics, and insurance. Three worlds that, most of us can barely keep straight, yet she's been innovating in all of them. She's a trained economist with an international track record spanning public health, financial services, and even cutting edge tech. She's a driving force behind predictive modeling strategies for major reinsurers, developing platforms that elevate risk selection and pricing to a whole new level. As the founder and CEO of Luminant Analytics, she's helping transform how insurers and startups tap into the future of information. She's also led initiatives at Quantum Basel to guide companies into the quantum age, and serves as a champion for data democratization at Vertito. So from tobacco control economics to AI strategy for B2B SaaS, her breadth is matched only by her passion for turning complex trends into clear strategic insights. She holds a doctorate and master's from the University of Illinois in Chicago She's a co-author of Momentum, Makers and Builders. So please welcome Dr. Renu and Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invite to the podcast.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you, Renu.
Yeah, welcome.
Yes.
This is the first time that we're also having somebody who's working on something so pioneering like quantum computing and a women tech leader in that space. We're super thrilled and excited to have you.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. As you just read my industry, my profile, it's like it's taken a lot of years to get here, as
Yeah,
we
yeah,
all have,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Nothing worth doing
That's
comes
right.
easy, right? That's
Oh,
why it's called
absolutely.
work.
What's the fun?
That's right. Well, look,
Awesome.
just to kind of keep things coherent and concise within one episode, why don't we just start with a basic survey of, what is quantum computing? How is it different than classical computing? Maybe just quick state of the art on it, and what's the, commercial viability for insurance. We'll keep this part brief, right? For anybody that is interested in more, I would say please go listen to episode 22, where we spent the whole episode on just this portion. But let's start there, just to level set with everybody.
Yes. So when I went into quantum, I just found it a very fascinating technology because just coming off my first startup, eventually I was going to offer a solution for autonomous trucks. So I have a great interest in putting things, my energies in things that are way ahead of its time. And so quantum, I'm not a physicist, and nor do I always say I don't want to be one. I'm very happy where I am. But it really triggered my learning spirit. And the way I understand quantum is you put in computer science, physics, and math that is based on quantum mechanics. Um, then you have a field called quantum computing that solves complex problems faster. It is not classical computing on steroids. I always like to say
Okay.
that. And it's because quantum mechanics looks at energy and matter in the smallest particles, and that is atoms, photons, electrons. And quantum mechanics likes to predict these small particles using probabilities versus classical mechanics, which does it in a very deterministic way. So, just for that purpose, by doing that, quantum pushes us beyond the box of the 0 to 1 to multiple possibilities. And I'll do just one. The fuel node for the PC that we're speaking on is a bit, and a bit is traditionally 0 or 1. There's nothing else. And that's what the classical computer does the work on. But a quantum
Mhm.
computer works on a qubit, which is it is not a 0 or 1. It has two characteristics, just two characteristics that are important from a computing angle. One is called superposition. That is basically, it can exist in multiple states unless it's viewed. And that's a complex term, but like you take a coin, you spin it. That spinning process for a quantum computer or a qubit is where the calculation takes place. When the coin hits something and it falls, it stopped. It has become classical in that way. So this kind of, I don't know, maybe the word is ephemeral or whatever, that nature makes it amenable to complex parallel computing. So, and I'm just going to stop that there. Then the second one is entanglement, that where one bit is, because of the way the information is transmitted, and that makes it do things faster. So these are the two characteristics of qubits that help industry do things better or even do things that were not done before. There are different, quantum isn't entirely new, the MRIs and lasers in the 70s, they all work on the principles of quantum mechanics. But what is really probably pushing it is the Moore's law, which says that the amount of innovation that is needed to change classical computing, we are tapering off on that because of the size of the chip. Now, obviously, there are, and so we have to look at new frontiers. That is one reason why quantum has probably picked up a lot, but it's also like we move ahead, so we start putting money in things that were not important before, or just timing. So there are different computing companies in the space, and they all work on different kind of qubits, so it's very technical, and they vary by what kind of gates they have, and just very micro details, which I also don't know to that extent, but I know enough. And I would say, if I had to really classify what the problem is that you don't want the qubit to fall apart, because all the calculations happen when they is still spinning, as you may say. So the entire architecture hardware is all on actually making it non before decoherence, as they call it. So this is why you go to a quantum computing related conference, you're going to see way, way more hardware stalls than you would
Yeah.
if you actually go to, say, maybe an AI conference. I mean, the AI is all about the use cases. So that's, in a very broad manner, that's what I see that the industry is in, because maybe 10 years ago it was all in like a lot of things like Blue Force, which helped to kind of keep the quantum computer cold. So we are progressing, but there is also like a lot of creativity coming in, especially with the rise of AI and machine learning.
Yeah. Is it at a point where it's commercially viable, Renu, or you think that we're still, let's say, at least half a decade
No, no,
away?
no. There are some. So there are some kinds of quantum computers where some specific use cases are in production, and I'm not standing. I'm not promoting any company, but there is an annealing company called D-Wave. It is not the universal gate computer. It's a universal gate computer. You can just think it's like if my computer was to run on quantum, that's a universal gate computer. Everything is will be solved by quantum. No, we are not there. That could be decades away. But if I say one part of the processing of my computer or one particular thing, let's say Outlook, can be done by a quantum computer. Let's say we have someone who does that. Um, and that they have some use cases that are being commercialized. And what is interesting about that is that it's in the hybrid structure. So it's a combination of classical and quantum setup that is being commercialized. And in my opinion, that's how technologies should be commercialized. New technologies which have the ability to not to be, which are disruptive, but you don't necessarily have to just build everything and launch everything from scratch. So there are some use cases, um, and there are some use cases in insurance as well.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
fascinating, time. It seems like, 2020's decade seems to be like the race to, a million qubits, who's going to get there first. And all these techniques that you're talking about, right, with superconducting and photonic and trapped ions. And earlier this
Which one?
year, Microsoft had the topological approach, finally, after 20 or so years of research on that. But yeah, I mean, the large scale, applicability seems to be right, once you have a million qubits or so available. But going back to your comment earlier, right, that at quantum conferences you're likely to see hardware companies because they're working on this. Um, can you talk a little bit about sort of what algorithms are already available, and where insurers might anticipate being able to use them once they have access to quantum computing at a reasonable scale?
So I would say, I want to approach this question in terms of a problem. Which problem is currently being solved with the technology that is most amenable to that? Oh, I'm going to use this, the quantum leap into quantum
Yeah.
computing.
No pun intended.
And I think that one is machine learning. So if you think about machine learning, and you know that machine learning is very broadly used in insurance in different areas. So machine learning is basically you have a problem, the data is thrown at the problem, the computer has a model, an output is produced, goes back into the data and trained again. That's machine learning. What quantum computing can do is it can actually increase the time in which the model is trained and computed, right? So it's an accelerator. Alternatively, machine learning can be used to look for different quantum error correction programs, finding out new quantum algorithms. So there is that feedback loop. So now that I've put this kind of perspective of it's a current technology that is being used, then think about which industries that can actually benefit from improvements in machine learning, right? And what I'm always passionate about, and this is really actually drug discovery. And that's one of the original use cases of quantum computing. In the process of drug discovery, it takes around 10 to 15 years to have a molecule, like a drug, approved. And most of them fail at enormous costs. And that work is usually done by scientists, chemists who know they have the combinations and then how it works in patients, etc. And quantum computing just erases that with the parallelism and the speed. Obviously, there are things that need to move in space to get there, but from that original use case, there have been other kind of ancillary use cases. So anything around optimization, quantum really does well. And so you think about route optimization for trucking. I am talking about trucking because I've spent now, I would say, like a decade in commercial auto trucking in different ways in the analytics space. So I've been particularly interested in trucking and how optimization. So you can use quantum to optimize the way cargo is put on a plane without leaving spaces. You can use quantum to look at how marine routes are done or flight plans are done. And anywhere, now, there's always going to be that little competition between AI or machine learning and quantum. There are some solutions where the number of possibilities are so much that a machine learning algorithm will not converge. This is where quantum literally flies in and solves it. But the mechanics of getting there, that is actually finding an organization to who is able to find that problem that needs to be solved, finding that it's not solved by machine learning, and then finding the quantum technology that solves that. That path is quite tedious, right? So many things have to fall in place. And I think I'm hoping that with all the things that I'm spearheading, the different things I do, we will get to those both questions and answers. Is quantum the right fit? If so, what kind of quantum can I use? So, yes.
In the examples you just gave, it sounds a little bit more on logistics, supply chain, and where there's a huge, enormous amount of data and complexity and variables and correlations and all that stuff. Do you think in the spectrum of all industries, insurance is in the top quintile at least as a potential sector with a lot of these use cases that are prime for quantum? I vaguely remember like when IBM Watson came, you remember like Watson was knocking at the door of every big company, including insurance companies, and say, "Hey, I got the technology, but what kind of use cases you have?"
So I'd say that in terms of just maturity of the industries, I think we all know banking is way ahead of insurance. So there are some
Mm,
already good use cases of quantum in banking, and several banks actually have quantum units. So, but insurance is interesting because of two things. One, because it's very data driven, right?
right.
You paid money on the promise. There is no good actually being transacted, and that's fabulous. Second, so in terms of the data being driven means there is a scope for computing technologies to show their marvel, so that's good. The second one is actually that insurance sees it all. Supply chain risks, manufacturing risks, hardware risks, algorithm risks. Insurance and reinsurance are covering it all. So it's actually fairly, I would, illogical for insurers not to be looking at it, because you as an insurer are going to be writing this some way or the other.
Interesting. So you're bringing both as a business, you have to write insurance on top of this, or as a corporation, you have to use it.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, as an example, if you like someone is operating a nuclear power plant that uses a quantum algorithm, you want to cover for different things there, right? So that's where you have to have, when it comes to any technologies, you have to have a very broad view of the world and think that insurance is a part of everything, in many ways. So while I know insurers are struggling with basic things like getting out of Excel, let that not prevent them from thinking about the
Good
big
way.
things, because that,
Good way to rub it on our audience.
no, this is, I've seen it. It is what it is. It shouldn't
It
prevent
is.
us from
We
thinking
agree.
big.
We joke about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Excel anymore. It's Airtable, just so we're clear that we're at least modern SaaS-based Excel.
Okay. Well, no, my approach is, if the problem can be solved by Excel, don't put quantum on it. That's a very practical thing. But don't let your restraint be the fact that you are ready to excel, prevent you from thinking big.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is fascinating, right? To make some connections between different industries and where the opportunity is for insurers. Practically speaking, for tech leaders, right? Would you suggest that they view this as a emerging tech that they should pay attention to, or do you think that this is something they must be dabbling in right now? It's emerged and it's here, and start paying attention, or else you risk being, caught flat-footed, like most of the world was with, generative AI in late 2022.
Um, I would say, please do so. I mean, how many risks do you think insurers have been ahead of everyone? I can't think of a single one. I mean, we're still struggling with asbestos. So I would say, let's turn the tide, and be more proactive about looking at it. It doesn't mean that you I know a few companies who have teams who look into quantum. I think that's still a good part. It just depends on the size of the company. But
Yeah.
I think that, at least just have it on your radar. Watch the quantum computing scene. Um, I would just say, obviously, look for use cases across different technologies. Then see what kind of companies are being acquired. I think that's just a good sense of where the technology is heading to. And I would absolutely keep it on their radar. So, in today's day and age, I think I mean, we are getting into space too, and we've been in space for a while, so why not quantum?
Yeah, yeah, makes
You
sense.
mentioned a company.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
just real quick, when we think about this intersection of insurance and quantum, right? There's probably five, broad areas. So one is we're already in a post-quantum cybersecurity sort of situation with actors are harvesting and stockpiling on keys that once we'll have a widely available quantum computing capability, we can break the encryption. So we're already in a post-quantum situation with cyber, right? Then you mentioned optimization, right? There's predictive modeling scenarios, there's simulations, and synthetic data generation. So if you just think of these five aspects, where would you say the opportunity is most potent for an insurer?
Oh, I would absolutely say predictive analytics, um, because they're now coming up to speed on it. So then it's a good point to actually get onto it, because if you want to run a quantum computing program algorithm, it's not like you need like millions of dollars, right? Everything is, most of the companies, you need an API. You don't need quantum physicist in your team. It helps, but you just need to know what your problem is from the business side. And so predictive analytics is, for me, the way I think it's such a easy win, easy in quotes, because it's hot, it's being used, it reaps dividends, and so the jump to quantum is fairly seamless. The other things that you mentioned were, yes, well, security is a big topic that's being talked on, and that would just, I would also say that that is being, should be given equal priority, just because there's already things in place. But for me, it's predictive analytics. And that's also because I've seen how predictive analytics has just evolved in the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you say that, given sort of the state of the art right now is roughly, something with 1,000 qubits, is it something that we can meaningfully build upon at this point in time, or is it, wait till you get to 10,000, 100,000 qubits being widely available?
No, I think you can actually start now. There are different use cases being used on what is available now, and the annealing section has a different kind of qubits. IonQ has different kind of qubits. So the 1,000 qubit milestone is particular to one technology. So I think that's where, like, I don't want to be hamstrung by the qubit count. Um, I think I want to be hamstrung by really, like, what is the problem I'm solving, and what particular quantum technology can help that. And so it's also a good time to like explore, because a lot of things are out there, and you can spend the time. It's, well, right now, if you're on the board of an insurance company, you are under incredible pressure to say, okay, which Gen AI model should I use? And there is no right answer, because in 10 days you have something that's bigger and powerful. So
Yeah.
I would imagine boards, CIOs, CDOs are all under pressure to make sure they are on track. For quantum, that pressure is not there. And so use this time now to set the base for thinking about, these are the set of problems that matter to me as an organization. These are the technologies as I see today, AI, quantum, that can solve it. I would say think like that.
Yeah. Interesting you blended the board. I think the board is just off taking, I don't know if they have taken the foot off the pedal on the AI and LLM. If anything, I think they're putting and then maybe taking their foot off a little bit.
Yes.
But I'm fascinated if you're hearing that as boards, at least in insurance companies, talking about quantum yet. I maybe
Yes,
it's
there are a few. So I talk a little bit about this at the panel. I'm organizing a panel in ITC in Vegas in October.
mm,
We're
mm,
talking about use cases, investment, and obviously there's knowledge that I cannot share, but insurers are talking about it. Insurers are starting to invest in it, um, even if they don't see a direct feedback. So yes, this is on topic, um, of many, many insurers, the bigger, larger ones for sure.
So
sure.
if it's sort of nascent, what would you suggest are maybe two, three things a carrier should be doing today to start building and preparing for this? Like you say, the pressure's not there. Use the time wisely. So, what are two, three concrete steps a tech leader in insurance could take?
I would say that just look at first, start with your problems. Like, look at your problems. If you have a list of problems that you need to solve, that would be just great. And then you have ordered that so that you have your list kind of ready. Then, like, I would say that just attend a few quantum computing conferences. And the language will be scary because it's, I mean, who knows about these things? You go and sit in a thing, but just that there are some, not very technical, but there are conferences that talk about use cases. So please go for those to be familiarized with some of the trends that you're seeing at least.
You mentioned a couple of these quantum conferences.
Uh, I I wouldn't. I know there's something really big that happens in DC once in a while. There's something
Okay.
in commercialization that happens in London. Um,
Okay.
so if I ever see the words commercialization, I usually like attend that. Um,
Gotcha.
then I try to go for conferences where there are multiple providers because then I'm getting a more holistic view rather than one technology. So I think look at your problem, try to really keep an organized eye out for quantum conferences. So I would say just add two or three per year onto your list. There are some, and then think about your workforce because you will not be able to find quantum physicists to run your programs. They don't exist. What exist are smart engineers within your companies that can scale up. And I would almost say make the quantum certification like a learning thing that you give your younger, sorry, I will not use the word younger engineers, but the engineers who are still actively coding.
Got it.
So
Eh,
keep your workforce constantly on like the learning process.
Gotcha. Fascinating.
Yeah, look, one
One.
thing to maybe just probe very quickly, right, is of course you have a fascinating background in analytics yourself. Um, you talked about right that that's where the opportunity is the most potent for insurers. I'm always interested to learn a little bit more about when we think about this space with analytics. Insurers have not yet, in a large way, anyways, right? I'm painting it with a broad brush. I recognize that. But nonetheless, right, they've not come into this maybe modern analytics in a big way. We have access to more data than ever before. We have access to more compute than ever before. We have access to new kinds of techniques. Where would you think that insurers are sort of falling short in terms of just fundamentally changing how they approach analytics?
Um, so I think that sometimes when I listen to someone talking about it, I think that there is like they use, pardon me, but they use the legacy systems as an excuse to not get stuff done.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, it is what it is. It is a legacy system. We get it. Move on. Like, really, we've come to a stage where we need to do that. And at this point, like, it's survival. I mean, it's very simple. Um, the distribution channels of insurance, the brokers, the agents, there's still a human touch to it, but they are also being powered by AI and data. So I think a lot of it is the mindset of we don't need to do it because we have enough reserves. It's a mindset problem. And if you were going to go out of business tomorrow, like what are the three things that you would do so that you can probably like launch something else in 6 months? Keep that in mind as you
Yeah.
do things. This is an
Yeah,
industry that gets forgiven a lot.
Well, we have a big moat,
Yes,
so
we have a
that
big
helps.
yes.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a sort of fascinating confluence of topics. We can, follow several of these threads a lot deeper, but I want to be respectful of your time. So I appreciate your being with us. Anything that you would want to, comment on that we didn't cover in the conversation so far?
I am happy that you're covering this topic on quantum. So I think that's a big plus. And I think that if you've listened to this episode, please just Google quantum. Like even if you're a person with no interest in the technology part, just Google quantum computing use cases. Do it. See where you land so that you can see, you just have a feel so that when you meet someone in the technology space who has this, you are clued in still.
And
Yeah.
I guess we should say check out your Innovation Odyssey
Yes,
podcast too, right?
yes, I actually do have someone on it who talks about quantum. I think Dominic is my second or my third episode, and he's in optimization. So,
Okay. Yeah, very good. So, educate ourselves, attend some conferences, identify problems where we're struggling, and see if there is an intersection with quantum. Start doing stuff. Pressure is not there yet, but it will be.
yes,
So
It will be
there's
there.
an
I
action
expect
plan
that
for all of
board.
you.
yes,
I was going to say expect that board meeting to come with the quantum as a topic very
yes,
soon.
I would love
Yeah.
that. I would love that.
That's right. Well, with that, Renu, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I hope our audience will check you out on LinkedIn and your podcast and on the InsurTech conference circuit as well. So we look forward to speaking to you again in the near future.
Fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. With that, thank you, folks. As always, we appreciate your audience, and please continue to follow us on various channels and listen, like, engage, and comment. And then if you have any comment or questions about the topic we had today or any other fascinating topics that's of interest, as always, let us know. And Samir and I will be glad to follow up.
And that's a wrap for today's conversation on PremiumBytes, where we shine a light on the unsung world of insurance technology leaders. Thank you for joining us on this adventure and being part of our community. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and follow us. Until next time, take care.